Game 2, day 2 here in Lecco, Italy. I'm Liam Rosen here with Steph Rapazza. We're going to do the excellent game you see on your field in front of you. Colony from Sydney, Australia. Otso from Espoo, Finland.
Set to be a great game here. The weather's turning on for us here in Lecco after a fair bit of downpour over the last couple of days. But things are looking fantastic right now. They've put some damper on the field to dry it up a bit. Colony getting set. Otso just getting their cheer finished on the other end. Looks like it's going to be a cracker of a game. What do you expect here, Liam?
I think Colony's going to come out strong in this one. Colony is a team which has set their sights on success in this Worlds campaign. This is traditionally an exceptionally successful team in Australian Ultimate. Winning the Australian Ultimate Championship is practically a powerhouse at this point.
Yeah, in Australia, these guys have just been dominant. They form 2 clubs every year for the last 4 and have met each other in the final for 3 of those last 4 seasons. So that they're just a testament to what they do. This mostly their best players. They've got 1 or 2 behind that you've seen traditionally on their roster for whatever reasons, but a very, very strong roster with some excellent pickups. They won again this year. They beat Canberra in the final for the first time in 3 years, not facing each other, but just an excellent Colony side again.
Colony even traveled to Kaimana, the tournament in Hawaii, and won that tournament for the first time.
Great success there again. They came home with super high heads and filled with even more confidence going into another Nationals campaign.
So first pull goes off, and Otso from Finland will be on offense. Colony coming out, poaching a bit off the handlers. And an immediate turnover, but it's saved.
Picked up in the dirt.
You see now that they've put actually sawdust on the fields. Players are slipping around on that sawdust in an attempt to dry up the water.
Twice already. Maybe they're trying to roll up some moisture with their uniforms.
And Otso puts it deep right away. Duque is there. Julio Duque with the D.
Excellent ups by Julio Duque. He's one of the import players from Colombia. He played with Colony for 2 seasons and is back happily to play with them in this campaign. But what a D there. A little bit of help on the inside, the outside rather, made it easier for him to just go up and get.
So Colony will take their time, walking backwards and set up their offense. We've seen heavy rains yesterday, games canceled, and over the past week, finally today, the sun has come out and has dried up a bit of the mud. They actually, Seven, had a helicopter, I'm not sure if you saw that, on the fields yesterday, blowing the water off the fields into the side so the standing water would be off.
They're going to great lengths here. I heard they're pumping. I didn't hear the helicopter, but that's wonderful to hear that they're putting in these kind of efforts. We've got Tom Tullett, known as Cupcake, bringing this in for us.
Cupcake looking around, tries the hammer immediately to Duque. Duque looking for Tullett. Finally swings it all the way across the field to Cupcake. Cupcake thinks about the deep he's going to put it. Looks a bit far, and it is. So receiver Tommy Lamar not able to catch up to it.
The throw just a bit in front there by Cupcake. Not typical for Cupcake. First throw of the game, second touch of the game. First big throw, but he'll get that one back as Otso gets set the other way.
So Otso bringing it in, 1 turn already from both teams. Otso had pretty successful pre-tournament campaign. They went to Windmill Windup, finished in 7th place at that tournament. This is pretty much their standing club roster. Been successful at European Championships in the past. Have won Finnish Nationals for the last 2 or 3 years in a row. But having trouble getting it out of their own end zone right now.
Tight defense by Colony. That's Jimmy Toddhill, one of their defensive stalwarts. Stalwart number 22, covering the dump there.
So Brunilla finally going to put it deep.
He's got a man. Duque is well behind, and the man has caught up to the disc.
Brilliant reception, and Duque just plain beat deep on this one. Finland now on the doorstep.
Some very physical play by the Colony guys, but Otso with the first goal of the game gets the shot off and get themselves the all-important first goal.
And it's important to hold on offense in the first point of the game, just making sure that you are in the game. We saw earlier we were doing Buzz Bullets versus Emo. Emo came out and got broken right away, and that just shook their confidence for the entire rest of the match. They were never able to get that back.
Yeah, probably a very frustrating shot for Julio Duque after Colony made them throw about 6 or 7 in their own end zone, taking away unders effectively. And then to see the big shot come up and go off with that much separation, a bit frustrating for him, maybe a bit frustrating for Colony, but a very good show of their defensive prowess. If Otso has to resort to that shot that late in the point, it's not a point where they need to drop their heads over.
I was talking to Otso captain Jarno Sivo before the game, asked him what he was going to tell the team, if he knew anything about Colony. He said they were pretty much an unknown to him. He was just telling his team to calm down. This is their first game of the week, and they're here on the live stream, so he just wanted his players to play like they would any other game.
Abra Garfield with the disc, flicks it across to Mark Evans.
They've come out almost in a zone, it looks like. Sort of an arrowhead zone, chasing the disc back and forth.
It does the pivot, looking back upfield, it seems, and not eyeing the disc. Joel Pillar with the disc on the far sideline now.
So Colony swings it back and forth, finally now up to midfield. Evans with it. Back to
Jung from Germany, their German import with the disc.
Jung, big crossfield swing, finding Henry Thomas. Thomas, hammer to no one.
Ill-advised pass, or certainly poorly executed. Colony got to play some defense now. Gus Keenan on the mark.
Colony have to make sure not to go down 2-0 early in this game. This could be tough for them.
These open games always tight, in these conditions, a sloppy field, but no wind, no weather coming down right now.
As we see a drop from the Finnish receiver, Vuorio, and Colony's going the other way. Otso defense looks a little lackadaisical, and Colony finds the hole.
Mike Neild with the goal, gets the shot from Gus Keenan, 2 of the old faces in Australian Ultimate. Those guys have maybe not been throwing goals to each other so much, but throwing and receiving goals all over the place in Australian Ultimate. Mike Neild there, he's one of the imports, I suppose, for Colony. He's not living in Sydney. Potential for him to move there, but he's a long-time Queenslander, played with the Brisbane club Firestorm for since their existence for at least 5 years before taking a hiatus from Ultimate for personal reasons, doing the right thing and taking care of some life. As such, he's now, really just living the dream, Mikey. He's got a rejuvenated life. He's living. He's taking things one moment at a time, and
a new lease on life.
That's exactly it. And his new lease is taking him anywhere the wind blows right now. And right now he's landed onto the Colony roster, and he's got himself that tying goal.
So, Colony will prepare to throw off to Otso again. No break so far. Both teams have held on offense, even after a couple turns by each team. Tom Tullett, Cupcake with the pull. Just lands a couple meters out of bounds.
A couple too many bench presses for Cupcake in the off-season. He has been working hard. He's put on some great muscle since his days of junior. He's represented Australia as an under-19, as an under-23, and it looks like there's going to be no stopping him from here on out. He will be a stalwart and a stronghold in the Australian representation.
So Finland comes out in horizontal stack. Tight marks from the Australians. Looking, finally gets the gainer off underneath to Potrikus. Potrikus looking for the up line.
Squeezing it down that narrow field there.
Losing meters though, and this has been symptomatic of the Otso offense so far as they come down with a high catch to Kallio.
Excellent grab there.
Kallio into Hotari. Hotari! Finland having to make a couple spectacular catches to stay in the game.
And they're doing it.
Maybe try that. Okay.
Very tough Colony defense. Finland has thrown 10 or 11 passes so far, has failed to gain any yards. I think the stat for a good ultimate point generally takes about 2 minutes and 10 passes are thrown. When more than that are thrown, you see things happen like that. Eventually teams kind of start to lose their nerve as we see a turnover off a flat huck and receiver just wasn't there.
And a little bit similar to the first point there where Colony made him throw all those throws. And then the deep shot went off behind Julio Duque. They got lucky on the first shot to some end, getting lucky. This time, much of the same. The shot come off, the legs were a bit more fatigued, and the shot went to no one. So Colony's, prevention of those underneaths and the working hard for the short passes has paid off this time, and they've got themselves an offensive possession for the break.
I like their strategy here. They've been very slow about setting back up when they do manage to get the break. Just making sure first game of the day is you see a bracketing defense from Otso here. But they'll send it deep right away to Duque. Unfortunately, out of bounds, though. It may be coming back fairly close to the front end zone line. So Colony actually doesn't gain too much of an advantage with that overthrown huck.
So Otso here with a chance to make good with their offensive possession. Nullify what could have been a break. Now they're starting to sniff out the line a bit more. Vatoran with the disc.
So swung into the middle. The players keep losing their footing on the sawdust. I don't know how much of a good idea that was to bring that in. I think sawdust actually has worse footing than the mud does.
Another great grab.
Near overthrow from Finland, but Sastamoinen brings it down.
One-hand overhead catches. We've seen 3 or 4 out of the finish already. They've had to make a few more spectacular plays to stay in it, but they're making them.
Kallio overthrows in the end zone, trying to jam it up that far sideline, and Colony now with another chance.
Nothing could be done by the receiver's end on that one, just overthrown about another 2 meters beyond him.
So Colony again taking their time on this. Their patience, though, with bringing the disc up has not helped them, as we saw the instant huck turnover from Cupcake. So they'll get it in immediately to Wallace.
Wallace from Fishwick Club as well. He plays with Mike Neal this season.
Duque receives near sideline. Duque's going to put it deep, and Wallace is there.
Colony capitalizes, get themselves a 2-1 lead, and they had to do it the hard way there. Both of these teams are going to want to make their offense a bit more efficient in these conditions, but Colony able to capitalize this time. 2-1 lead early in the game.
It's pretty still on the field. We're not seeing very much wind, maybe a slight wind. Nice conditions, nice and sunny out here in Lecco.
Oh, it's beautiful, and what a backdrop we've got here with these Dolomite Mountains behind us, the south end of the Alps here. I mean, when you get into Lecco town the other night, I got in, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The architecture sitting at the foot of the mountain with the lake on your side. Who could ask for anything more? I mean, a cold beverage of sorts doesn't hurt things to accompany the atmosphere, but an incredible spot, Lecco. I mean, the rain looked like it may damper after day one cancellation, but goodness, this weather's turned on and certainly made up for it now.
So Otso with another chance after the break from Colony, and Duque will bring it in bounds with the pull.
Now, I've heard Colony have got themselves a team theme with some facial hair. They've all had to sculpt something in. We've seen some seedy mustache, some giant, mutton chop sideburns. So if we ever get some close-ups, you might like to give your opinion on some of these facial hairstyles.
Looks like Finnish player just toes the line. That's Elon Haimo.
And another great catch there by Kinnunen.
Kokkonen now with it. Kokkonen finding Taminen with the nice grab, then he puts the bladey puck deep. What a shot for Finland, finding Pekka Kinnunen in the end zone to tie it up at 2-2.
The Finnish still making some excellent plays all over the field to stay in it. The shots are just a bit in front, but their athleticism showing. They're making the plays, and this time around it pays off in the end. They tie the game up, and it's we're all knotted up at 2s here.
A lo mejor antes se quedaba estabilizado porque...
Game tied up at 2-2. Colony now with a chance. Oli Jung, Colony's German pickup, fielding that pull. It's swung, though, all the way across the field back to Mark Evans. Evans finding Neeld. Joe Pillard gets it off the sideline back to Evans, and Evans working with Pillard in that dominator set. Mark Evans, a very savvy handler, has moved to the U.S., actually recently played with UNC Wilmington in the college division. And Colony just running down the field now, right on the doorstep. Big cross-field swing. He'll keep it in.
It's Abra to Joel Pillard. And Vidler with the goal from Joel Pillard. Sasha Vidler, one of the founders of this Colony team, was a big part of the faculty ultimate before Colony became, and gets a goal there from the captain of the Crocs, Joel Pillard, one of the captains of Australia's World Games team. A big member. He's a big target on the receiving end, but has a great toolbox of throws too. So a diverse player to that end. He can get upfield, but often used as a handler, more so for his throws.
So Colony looking a bit better here after some early field turnovers. Their offense looked very efficient on that point. I like the give and go with Evans kind of dominating the handler set.
A couple big swing passes coming from Abra Garfield. They're able to prevent any static play on their offense, keep the Finnish defense moving from side to side, and eventually opening up an easy shot. We really had 2 targets to score there.
Giant pull from Cupcake, as you just saw on your screen. That has a lot of hang time. So Taminen for Finland will put it deep. Looks like it's going to flow out of bounds, though.
Had a man, worthy shot, but he's got to execute the throw there. Colony now with a chance to earn their break.
One thing I want to point out, Stefan, you see on the right side of your screen, there's someone walking down with a yellow shirt that actually just brought that disc into play. For those unfamiliar, this is World Flying Disc Federation's new Game Advisor program. Game Advisors are not observers, they are not referees, they are advisors that are brought in for important games to let players know what the rules are. As we've seen immediate turnover from Cupcake, and I'm not sure what he was thinking on that one.
Not sure. It looks like he shot between 2 options there. He had a shorter option to Jimmy Todd Hill and then one to the other side, but he shot it right to the Otso defender there and nullified their lead, gives Otso the goal, and it's all tied up at 3s now.
So these game advisors, this was put into place after a series of, we'll say, contentious games over the past 3 years, especially among teams with language barriers where understanding the rules and interpreting, communicating actually becomes an issue. So advisors are there. This was a outcome of the Committee on Spirit of the Game, the task force that was led by actually Australia's own Ruben Berg, head of the Rules Committee. and they found that this compromise was the best idea, so not yet switching to a full observer system, but rather bringing an advisor in. And I think this is a good first step.
It's an excellent initiative. It's, I mean, as much as all these Ultimate players are, you know, well-schooled with the rules, most players know most of the rules. It's just not full consistency. Not everybody knows every rule. And sometimes a little bit of temper, sometimes a little machismo gets in the way of allowing them to call it properly. And these game advisors are just there to remind them how the rule is actually written.
So pull actually lands right on the line. That was a fantastic pull from Finland, but a bit of a bummer for them as Colony will gain a bit better field position.
An excellent pull, a foot shorter. That's Abra Garfield taking it to the line. He played for Colony Club a few seasons ago. Has been in Queensland, playing for Brisbane clubs Firestorm or the great powerhouse, the Slamtown Flatball Club in the Gold Coast after that.
So Garfield, immediate scuba over the top of the mark. Finding Evans. Evans looking for his dump. No one back. Finally gets the dump off. Pillar. Backhand over the top. Player's going to have to lay out to save it, and Pillar was fouled on the play, so disc will be coming back.
I'm not sure if his player agrees that he fouled. If he's not contesting, he was certainly being a little bit cheeky. He ran about 30 meters past it, ready for the scoring goal, the scoring throw rather. But he's back now. Looks like he hasn't contested. Was just hoping to take advantage if Joel didn't call it.
So Pillar brings it back in, finding Evans. Swings back to Pillar. Upfield. Thomas for the dump all the way across now to Garfield. Looks like a possible travel on the play, at least a call on the field.
I saw the double bicep by one of the double bicep flex, so that could indicate a pick.
Looks like that's going to be a hammer immediately to Evans. Nice righty hammer.
Joel Pillar with no resistance on that trigger finger with the hammer there. He loves the throw. He throws a great hammer, as we saw there, and he shouldn't keep that one holstered at all if he's going to keep throwing him like that.
So Colony goes up 4-3. Very deep team. As you mentioned, Stefan, they split up into two teams every year to play Australian Nationals, and this year, I believe, was the first time that the two teams did not face each other in the final in many years.
And not only did they not meet each other this time, this was the first year either of the Colony clubs lost to any other team leading up to the final going in. So the two previous national championships, Colony Plunder and Colony Pillage, as they're called when they split up, both went undefeated at Australian Ultimate Championships until they met each other in the final, where obviously one of them has to lose.
And that's indicative of a powerhouse program, and this Colony team has been preparing for this tournament for many, many months. They want to go all the way. I think they will be disappointed if they don't make it past quarters.
Absolutely. They got 6th at the last World Clubs, and they're most certainly looking to improve on that. They want to beat the best to become the best. They think they've got it in them, and this is now their chance to prove it starts right here.
Kokkonen into the center to Taminen. Looks like possibly a call on the field.
Another double bicep there, possibly a pick.
So play will restart after some discussion. Disc is swung to the captain, Sivo. Taminen thinking about the upline, finally gets it, near layout, and they'll send it deep right away. Finnish receiver has position. Can he box out?
Rory Connell got up just a bit too early, was the bigger body there. Got himself stuck behind, didn't see the disc early enough, and in his chase just couldn't get up at the right time.
So a offsides call, a re-pull from Otso. They get it into Evans. Hammer immediately to Pillar. Finding Pillar on the dump. Tight marks from the Finns. Swinging again to Evans. Evans looking confident with those one-hand receptions. Into the middle, finding Neal. Back to Young. Neal through to Pillar. Loose marks from the Finns allows Colony to get away with that 0 point. No turnovers in that one.
And that was just easy business. They did everything right. I think the Finns played off him a bit, maybe wary of the long game. Not sure what it was, but there were open options underneath all day long. Colony made that one look easy to go up again by 1.
Kaikki toimii ihan hyvin, eikö vaan? Miten parannetaan seuraavalla kerralla? Jos se vaihtuu, niin jos on kämmeen, niin pitää olla heti siellä kämmen pois. Tai rystyheitto pois. Let's run the boys, Colony! Right now! Let's bring the heat! Come boys! Let's see some heat, Colony!
Sasha Weidler on the sideline looking for some heat, as though it's not hot enough here in Lecco right now. He wants this heat. He's not satisfied with the 1 point lead they've got.
And it seems like Colony a very intense team. I was listening to them before the game, getting pumped up, saying, remember where you're from. We want to show something to this other team on the showcase field for all the fans back home.
They've got some serious pride in where they come from, the style of game they play, the players they pick. It's an elite team to be on. This is where the best open players want to be playing with in Australia, and they know it, and they want to make sure they're making the most of this opportunity to be here.
Vattoranta with it. Vattoranta's going to put it deep. That's a low throw. Very hard to catch up to. It is received, though, by Sastamoinen, and the immediate timeout call comes as Sastamoinen with no receivers and a mark on him right away with Cupcake.
And these Finns just won't go away. I mean, I do believe that Colony's dictating the pace of this game just a bit more clinical, but it doesn't matter when the Finns can just respond with a long shot here, a bit of mongrel there, and they're just staying in it, and now on the doorstep to tie it up with an advisor coming into the conversation.
Not sure why the advisor's been called in. I think the only possible discussion that could be taking place now is what the count would come in at after the timeout.
I mean, I don't think there's anything to be contested, whether it was a clean catch or not. That looks totally good. A great layout onto that right shoulder.
So game advisor Liam Kelly step in and...
Oh, maybe a goal conceded, perhaps?
I'm not
no,
sure
they're still going to the timeout.
Timeout stands. So we'll try to find out what they were discussing there. In any case, both teams will go to the timeout, talk things over here on Skyd Magazine's coverage of the 2014 World Ultimate Club Championships in Lecco, Italy. I'm Liam Rosen here with Stefan Rapazzo. Tune in with us after the timeout. So an immediate layout D from Colony on the finish end zone line that's usually pretty secure. That they had the timeout, they had the disc in their hands to even up the game, but Colony out with another chance. Duque was fouled on that throw. Play though will go on. Finish team is calling the disc down.
Ooh, another speculative call. Looking to the advisors there. The layout D coming out of the timeout, the exact opposite of why you called that timeout. That is the last thing that you would want to happen, the least likely scenario after all that planning and talking, and then that's a bit of a head dropper, that one.
And to be perfectly honest, we weren't even ready for it. We had our mics shut off. They came in right away, and the layout D instantly as we go back to Cupcake in the handler position. We're here with Will Norton. Up to Alex Latamato, sending it deep right away. Brett Middleton's there.
Sweet as Middleton got up beauty for that one. Took a big sky over top the Finnish defender, and now Colony with their first 2-point lead of the game.
That'll give them a bit of space now, bit of pressure off of them as they were keeping it pretty tight with this Finnish team. I think they came into this game thinking that this is a game that they are capable of winning, coming into the pool as the 1 seed. They know they have this game on the line. They just have to clean up their execution errors, which we've seen in the early half of the game.
And how's that Alex Latamato's number 31 there, sporting that 80s disco afro there with the mustache? I mean, I could see him in some tight silk bell bottoms doing some sweet John Travolta moves after this game if they win.
Colony looks to pull off again here in scenic Lecco, Italy. It's a nice day today. We're about 50 kilometers north of Milan. For those unfamiliar, taking a week off after Sky's coverage of the World Junior Ultimate Championships 2 weeks ago. That Junior Championships tore up the fields a little bit. They've had a week to recover, but unfortunately a week of heavy rains have kept the fields nice and moist. I think the sun has come out and has cleaned it up a little bit, though, from what we've seen in the first game this morning as the pull comes in.
Big floating pull.
Will be fielded by captain of Otso, Jarno Sivo. Kokkonen with it, foul called on the mark. Conrad Wallace, not sure if he's going to contest this one. Didn't seem particularly happy about the call. Watched Wallace play in the final of Windmill Windup last year as he was in Germany and playing with the German team Bad Skid. Lost that final on Universe Point.
Bad Skid, a team to watch. I think Colony got a warm-up game against them in their pre-tour in Germany, and maybe the only game Colony dropped on their pre-tour. But I know Bad Skid got up 17-15 just about a week ago in a game that could be a quarter or a semi-final here in Lecco.
So also just working it on this near sideline. Same story as ever. Colony marks, and it looks like there's a foul on the defense. Tommy Lamar colliding with Pasi Tominin. That's okay, though. No contest on that foul, so disc is going to stay. Disc is in. Sivo still with it. Sivo thinks about putting it deep right on the line. Actually got Duque off his feet, but looks for the dump back to Tominin.
And there's a lot of people losing their feet out there.
Brunilla tries to get the dump off, but it's a miscue. Colony picks up, goes the other way. Duque immediately into Lamar. Lamar looking for the dump, hammer to the end zone. Tommy Lamar finding Ollie Doucette for the score.
And a 3-point lead. Ollie Doucette coming off a pre-tour of his own with Tom Cupcake Tullett. He's a bit of a surfer, but he went down to Mexico to Puerto Escondido and was surfing some heavy swells down there. So I think Colony just happy to see him show up in Germany to their pre-tour.
It's Tommy Lamar, you saw throw that goal. We mentioned earlier, those who followed the Next Gen coverage from a couple years ago, know Tommy's name. He's been a star player up through the North Carolina youth scene, United States, played for UNC Wilmington. The connection there was Mark Evans, who we also mentioned before, an Australian that's come to the U.S. to study, and Mark was Tommy's college teammate, so they picked him up, and a great pickup for Colony as they go into Worlds. We see a timeout on the field, so both teams will talk things over. Colony now up 7-4, so building a bit of a lead here in Lecco. Word on the street was that the generator simply ran out of fuel and no backup generator in place, so I suppose more fuel has been put in the generator, and we are back with Colony leading 12-5 over Otso. So Otso, a chance to get on the board. Colony has rolled recently after keeping it tight early. Near D from Colony, but Otso controls. Travel called. It's Huck deep to Otso, and no defender there for Colony, so they let that one get away from them. 12-6, Colony over Otso. I'm here with Nikki Smith.
Hi, Liam.
Filling in for Stepan Rapaza, who was convinced that the game was over, as we all were, as convinced that the power is going to be out for a while. They did fix it a bit faster than we expected, so we're going to come on here and try to finish out the rest of this game. Nikki, a Canadian, though, living in Australia for the past many years. How many years now?
14 years now.
So Nikki with a bit of insight on the Colony game.
Yeah, look, I've seen a lot of Colony over the last few years. They're almost always in the final, and there's certainly always a presence at nationals, and certainly proving to be a presence here.
So Colony with a rare O point recently. 12-6 in the pull, out of bounds.
Yeah, we just one timeout.
Looks like Mark Evans will center that one.
Mark's been a dominant player in Sydney for a long time, starting with Frisky years ago and moving his way up.
Toes the line. And Otso, or Colin should say, really opening up their ranks here, letting everyone play. And Joel Pillar with the quick flip into the end zone. Colony making it look easy on offense.
That is a World Games connection right there. Joel Pillar and Mike Neal both representing Australia at World Games, where they came second.
13-6. Colony just 2 points away from securing the game. Remember, these games are shortened due to the storm in Lecco that canceled games yesterday. Organizers just want to make sure they have enough time to finish out the games. If there does have to be thunderstorms, there is a bit of clouds rolling up in the distance. Previously it was very clear skies. We are seeing a bit of clouds now.
Yeah, I checked the hour-by-hour weather schedule earlier today with great anticipation, and we were supposed to, there was a possibility of tormenta, which is Italian for storm, at around 2. So, I don't know, it must be about...
It's 2:15 right now.
All right, well, we're safe so far.
So it's looking like it's going to be a good day, and that is exactly what we needed after a string of bad luck at the field complex. If you've just joined us, we apologize for the interruption. The power went out at the field, so unfortunately all of our stuff went down. No recording, no streaming. The generator ran out of fuel at the field complex, but apparently the organizers have fixed it now, so we're back up online and bringing you the last part of this game.
Yeah, and it's a good game. You know, the score's not that close, but certainly both teams have done some amazing stuff.
So Otso working it up against the Colony zone. It's a loose wall. Colony showing up a new defensive look, perhaps practicing for some of the other games.
Owen Shepherd on the disc there. Owen Shepherd looks like he's playing a loose kind of puppy role. He's been a big part of Australian Ultimate for years now. World Games player, a dingo many times over.
Quick hammer into the end zone. Australian defender nearly there.
So close.
But Jessa Sastamoinen brings it in for Otso. So Otso answers back with one of their own. Colony 13-7. And Otso coming into this tournament with good expectations, being the first-ranked team out of Finland. They were worried about playing a bit too excited. I think they've played well so far, given the strength of this Colony team that they've gone up against. Otso is not the tallest team in the world. Colony has got some height, but playing fairly solid. I think the Colony's defense has just gotten the better of them and forced them to throw a couple turnovers so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Colony being Australia's national champion and looking for a spot in the semis and the finals, also should be proud of how they've done.
Finland's been getting a lot of external coaching recently. Greg Scoops Connolly, former coach of Boston Ironside, has actually been called into the country to give clinics with a lot of Otso players. They had a remark on their team survey that we asked all teams to fill out. They said we're sometimes criticized for not celebrating enough when we score. They said Greg actually came in and taught them how to high five, although they still feel that it's awkward.
Awkward high fiving. Wow. Well, hopefully they get the hang of it. Certainly the Australian teams don't struggle with celebrating their points.
Not at all, as Colony a very fiery team. We see now an arrowhead zone from Otso. Colony, though, with the immediate break and just breaking the zone open off the handling skills of Joel Pillar.
Wow.
And the toe-in grab
That was it.
from Colin Spielman. Beautiful set from the Aussies. They rip apart Otso's zone. No problem at all. 14-7. Just 1 point needed from Colony to put this game away.
Callan is another player that I've seen at many previous Worlds. I think he was there in 2008 with the juniors, and he's gone from strength to strength since then. He's another frisky player. So frisky is a mixed team out of Sydney, very strong. Lots of players from Callum's generation, the sort of the 2008 juniors players who have now progressed and gone onto great things, onto Worlds teams and very strong teams here at World Clubs.
So Otso lining up again. This is a age-diverse team. I believe they said the lowest aged player, the youngest player on their team, 19 years old, while the oldest player was actually their former fitness trainer. That's number 12, Aki Vettari. 42, has been called up, actually. He was originally just going to come to Worlds and train the team on their fitness, get them on the warm-ups, but they actually called him in to play on the team after one of their players was injured.
Wow, that's great. Lucky him.
Otso, though, a strong, big roster with 27 players. Colony only 21. So disc comes in for Finland. Kokkonen.
Looking like Colony's gone to man.
Good, Conrad.
Kokkonen swings away to Vuorio. Finland still working with it. They really like that inside break, upline cut. Nice handling now from the finish. Far sideline. Fakes the scuba.
Looks like there's a call.
Pick call downfield. So disc will go back to Ilonamo.
Having a bit of trouble getting open. There we go.
Kokkonen finding Ilonano. This one's going to be an overthrow. Can he save it? Nice layout grab from Pekka Kinnunen. And a layout D from Australia's Tommy Lamar. I should say America's Tommy Lamar. He is, though, playing for this Colony team. Lamar, the former next-gen standout, bringing his 6'4" frame to the aid of the Colony defense. Conrad Wallace getting a tight mark from the finish. Finally, though, does get the up line off. They're going to send it deep right away. And a bobbled disc from Rory Connell. Not able to catch up to it. A nice deep shot. He had position.
Just couldn't get his hand around it.
Jimmy Todd Hill with a nice forehand rip deep. So sideline shouting for Todd Hill to get it back on defense. Otso, though, with another chance to stay in the game. They're not willing to let Colony bring it up yet. Tatu Kokkonen brings it up for Otso. And again, there's that inside-out dump look. I think Colony has finally figured it out and has now brought in that first defender off the stack to try to get a poach D. That's the third or fourth time they've run that look. Finland putting it deep. Captain is there. Nice position from Jarno Sivo. Colony recovers. Sivo back to Kokkonen. And it's an overthrow from Otso. Colony now with the disc to win the game. They'll take their time here and set up. Will Norton into Tom Tullett. Cupcake layout D from the Finns. Not there, though, and Colony puts it deep right away. Tommy Lamar is there. Lamar skies for the doorstep. He's going to take his time and try to find a dump.
It's great patience.
Gets it off to Will Norton. Lamar then flips it in for the score. and Colony take that game. That was very good patience for Tommy Lamar. I think a lot of players, after making a big play like that, they'll just try to rush it into the end zone. Tommy does a great job of taking his time, finding the dump, getting into the backfield, and Colony comes away the victor. 15-7 over Otso. Both teams stayed close early, but Colony ended up pulling away on some miscommunications from Otso. I think Otso, though, can walk away proud. They did play very well in this game against a much stronger opponent. Colony was the 1 seed in the pool. So pool play is going as expected so far. Stay with us. This is Liam Rosen, Nikki Smith with Sky Magazine. We're going to go down after the game to our post-game interview.
That's it. So I'll say 10 to 19.
Give me a minute. Guys, are you ready? Okay. Are we ready? Ready?
Hi, I'm here with Mike from Colony, from Sydney. How did that game go for you?
Hello, David. Thanks for having us. Yeah, the game went well. It was important for us to start well in the tournament, and we did. So that's very nice. The game was good.
And I guess you're enjoying the weather today. And how's your time been in Lecco so far?
Lecco's been good. We had some adventures on the way to Lecco as well. We spent some time in Germany and Switzerland and further north Italy, and that was all outrageous. And like probably the loosest pre-tour I've done, out of 3 or 4. But yeah, Lecco's been lovely. It's a beautiful town, a beautiful setting, and this complex would be excellent. And it's surviving pretty well given the challenges of the weather. So yeah, it's nice to be here.
Cool. And looking forward, have you got another game today or tomorrow? You've got a few games, I guess. What are the sort of aims for those pool games?
Yeah, well, it's become fairly unclear what's actually happening next. I mean, we have 2 more games in our pool.
Yep.
That was the number 2 seed in our pool, and we're playing the 3 and the 4 seed tomorrow, we think. So there'll be some challenges there for us to unify our systems and get everyone playing the same way. We do have a few disparate elements within the team. So the core in Sydney, vast majority, and then there's a few other guys we need to integrate. And so that's an opportunity for us, is to learn how to play together really well, and also to horribly beat some other teams. But who knows if that'll actually happen? We'll see.
Okay, thanks very much, Mike. And make sure you check out Sky Magazine for the continuing coverage of World Ultimate Club Championships.